Slack Tail Squad, assemble.
Welcome, Slaptail Nation. It is I, the Beeve Man, your master and savior, master of the universe. Not unlike He-Man, I have the same physique. Like a small plastic figurine. I'm in my tiny little beaver den. It's not too bad. It's working out pretty good. Right next door is the Swan on the other side. But most importantly, with me this evening is my number one, the Ronz.
Hey.
Oh, that's so weak. That shit is so weak.
I know.
And of course the Swan, the beautiful Swan. Say hello, Swan.
Hello, Swan.
And as always, well, not as always, because he only joins us when he has his availability. When we bend to his will, and we can do things when it's most convenient for him and not for anybody else. The eloquent, stylish, ever fashionable Tremonde.
Hey.
That's
Tremonde's cue, Ronz. You fucked it all up yet again.
I was giving him praise. I'm sorry.
But you didn't even let him say hello.
I know, Ron. Like, does anyone else do that, Ron?
No one interrupted
no
your
one cheers
A.
No one cheers you on? I'm sorry. I'm just a positive person today. I won't cheer you on then. So
Start over. Introduce
start over.
Why do you think
ever
he-
so
why do you think he needs
eloquent.
why do you think he needs your validation, Ron?
I think everybody needs validation.
Your validation?
Yeah. I mean, you get validated when you go to a museum for parking or something like that, don't you?
Come here often.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh,
Good evening, Tremonde.
From him. Thank you, Tremonde, for joining us. That's
no problem.
I greatly appreciate it. Before we get rolling today and we talk about all the fascinating things that the Ronz has done for the world in general, and for all of his contributions, for everything, I mean, might as well give the guy the Nobel Prize. He's kind of like the Dalai Lama of the dojo, the Ronz.
No. I appreciate the accolades, but it's not warranted.
None of them were sarcastic.
No, keep it coming.
I was gonna say, I feel like
not any of them were sarcastic.
No, none.
You know what irks the Beeve Man?
What irks the Beeve Man?
Lots of things, but people who interrupt me, people who answer the question too readily, too quickly, and don't allow any type of pause.
Rhetorical questions.
People who jump right over my pauses and start talking. That's annoying.
nobody's gonna do it when you call him out on it. When you call him out on it.
I'm gonna wait.
You want to know what annoys me?
Yes, please.
Is when I'm talking and someone else is wanting to engage in conversation with me, but they come and stand very close to me while I'm in conversation with someone else. That's rude.
Yeah. Or when they don't, you know what I can double down on that one. I agree with you. That is rude. I mean, I see you're there, but then they don't know if they should say something or not, and they just wait. Just hang back. It's cool. Hang back. But you know what also annoys me along that same vein though is when two people are having a conversation, and this is specifically talking about work. When two people are having a conversation that has nothing to do with work, but you are an extremely busy person and you don't have time to wait for them to stop their fucking conversation that has nothing to do with the workday, but they keep talking. And you can tell that you're there. You're like, okay, stop fucking talking. I have something that you need to fucking do because you're fucking ancillary staff and it's your goddamn job. Stop fucking talking. Clearly, I need something. But because I'm not a rude person, I don't interrupt people. But it's very obvious.
Yeah. People need to learn some manners.
They do.
My aunt told me one time, she said, there's going to be a lot of people who go to hell because they didn't say please and thank you.
Wow.
That were true. If only that were true. Now, did you call your aunt or auntie? Why does it sound different? When I say it, I say aunt. Although I don't have any aunts.
It's a dialect thing. It really is.
Is that because he's black?
How does that work into it?
I don't know. Just saying.
Just
I mean, it could be a
I
culture
find
thing.
it interesting that nobody jumped in and said, "Why don't you have any ants?"
You do have ants.
Not
So?
ants.
it's a dialect thing. I mean, it's also a cultural thing.
It is a cultural thing. You know why? Because when I say if I have an ant, I make reference to my quote ants, but I don't call my ants ant.
What do you call them?
Well, are you gonna answer her question? You're gonna look dumbfounded.
He did answer. You just didn't hear it. Answer again,
Tia.
like in Spanish.
Oh,
So
okay.
for you people, I say, yeah, this is my aunt when I'm talking about them, but when I speak to them, I don't say aunt so and so. I say Tia.
But you don't even use their name, right? You just say Tia. Right? Like you
Yeah,
don't.
no, not. I don't usually have a bunch of them in the room at the same time. So they do know who usually I'm talking about if I say that. But
So why
So
don't
if
you?
there was more than one in the room, you'd say what? Like
I say their name.
with Tia in front of it?
Yeah.
Okay, just saying. I'm just
You expect
trying
me
to
to call my
clarify.
aunts by their first name?
Well, I do. And mine I call
do. Well,
I do.
I do. What do you do, Tremonde?
So you don't call your aunts or aunts like Aunt Tammy, like you just say aunt, or you just use their name. You just call them Tammy.
He's asking you the question, Swan.
Me?
No,
No,
you-
he's
Yeah,
asking
you're the
asking
one
you.
who said that you don't do that. That's why he's asking you the
No, he's
question.
asking you because you just say you call them Tia. Like not Tia Rosa or not.
If there's only one of my aunts in a room and I'm speaking to them, yes, I don't call them by their first name. I just say, "Hey, Tia."
Yeah, I say, "Hey, Annie Pam," and it's not even
No,
Ann.
you
It's
said
Annie.
you just got through saying that you don't say
No,
aunt.
I didn't.
Yes, you did.
I don't say
You want me to play it
Aunt.
back?
I say
Want me to play it
Annie
back?
Pam. I say
Okay, but that makes
Annie.
us think that
And
you
it
don't
even sounds
address
like
them by their family title.
I do.
Okay, so that was confusing, and now I'm less confused.
Are you confused now? Are you less confused?
You know what I really want is I want Ronz to remove his background because he doesn't understand how it works. So he just looks like this giant face in the background.
Well, I
Like,
guess it's
he's
the
like the Wizard
position
of
of
Oz,
camera as
just
far
big
as
face.
it's
Here.
the
Let me show you
position
what
of
you look
camera.
like. Let me show you what you look like. If I can do it.
We can all do it.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
And he's not looking straight at the camera. He's like looking all around. So we get like side profiles of both sides of his face, and we get to see up his nose and.
Now he's gonna turn it off because he's mad. He's
No,
butthurt.
I'm not going to do it.
So
It's-
Tremonde, you
it's
say
like
what? Say
the
Aunt Tammy.
so
No,
like
it's-
yeah I call them by like their family title first and then their name. Like if I were to just say Tia, I would get like backslapped over the couch by every aunt and uncle in the room.
Well, then you've got like a bunch of.
Tia is not the first name. Tia means aunt in Spanish.
Right.
Not
we
her
all
name.
do that, but I think it goes back to what Ron said. I think it's a cultural thing because
Yeah,
when cousins talk to each other, we say, "Hey, primo." We don't say each other's names, and that just means cousin. I mean, it sounds cool because it's like primo, but that's all we do. Say, "Hey, primo." All my cousins do that to me. Well, most of them, except for my second cousins, they all call me Uncle John. Watch, I gotta blank that out later. Nice, man.
yeah.
Uncle Beefman.
Boogie man. But they don't call me Tio. They all call me Uncle, which is I don't know.
Would you be okay with your kids calling you by your first name?
It doesn't really matter.
You know, honestly, I was
The game
doing.
asked you, Ron.
No, I don't care what you asked because you know what?
You
I
only
didn't yell
have
at
one
you,
kid.
so-
I outrank you, so I therefore
No,
the better parent.
This actually came up in a long time ago. I was doing I was stationed at Loring, and I was doing a martial arts class. And all right, I get the clue. Yeah. Anyway,
Why were you doing a martial arts class?
one of the kids always called her dad Frank. And I'm like, and I took him aside. I said, why do you let your kid call you by your first name, Frank?
Okay, there's so many things wrong with that, but I'm gonna let you finish this story. Go ahead.
And after he explained it to me, it made sense. He says, if you go into a mall or a crowd and your kid's in trouble and they yell dad, right? How many dads are going to look? How many people are going to look? But if you yell their name, like the beef man, I'm in trouble. Dun, 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 I'm here. They're going to know who they're talking to. It's a targeted situation. So
I
I'm not
disagree
saying,
with that.
well, that's the way he
Because I
explained
think if you had a child in a group of people and a person hears a child yelling dad, I think you're going to get more people to respond
Exactly.
to that child as opposed to someone just saying Frank, because it's going to just sound like, oh, someone's just saying someone's name. But you hear mom or dad, or
Right.
you're going to be more
In a
alert.
frightened
Yeah,
scream.
right,
Well,
exactly.
yeah,
Even
no,
if you're holding your child's hand at the time and you know that that's not them yelling, you're still gonna look and see if there's somebody that
No,
needs
I
help.
understand that part. I really do. I understand that. But when you're at a certain situation, and let's say at a party, and you hear mom or dad, how many mom or dads look, right? Right?
Yeah, but what's wrong with that situation?
Nothing. But when they just say Frank or the beef man, it's right to them. It goes right to them. Cuts through all the noise. Right? Now I understand, and I probably picked the wrong scenario when the kids are
You
probably
probably
in
did.
trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You probably did.
Yes.
But the point is that you were not. It's not your kid that's doing that anyway.
Yeah.
But you're
Right.
also defending something that you don't do, which is kind of strange.
No, I had actually heard that reasoning behind it, and it's
But
like,
yeah,
okay,
but you're also saying like, oh, that makes sense. I don't
it
think so.
does. At least to me, it does. But
Now,
why
what's
doesn't your-
more
so why doesn't
funny
your
is
kid-
that
why
your
doesn't-
kid's 22 years old and in the middle of Starbucks says, "Hey, Daddy, can I have that cookie?" That's funnier to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Not only does the off topic though, not only does the Ronz not understand the camera, but now we just get half of his face. Now we just get
Half now.
all right. This is not my setup.
Yeah.
This
Every
is
time.
not his setup.
Not
He
my
uses how
setup.
many times do you
Not
get
my
to use
setup.
that excuse?
This
Rob
isn't
said
my
You
setup.
can't interrupt me when I'm vacuuming. So don't interrupt me when I'm vacuuming. Um, but I was gonna say, oh yeah. So anyway, so I don't think culturally that we think that that's bad. We call each other. That's what we do. That's what we say. How's that any different than saying grandma? Or
Well, usually there's only one grandma in the room.
well, in my
there
in
might
my
be
case, in my
two,
case,
one
a lot
at
of
the
times it's
funeral.
usually only one aunt in the room. Or if let's say there's a bunch of my cousins where they're all hanging out. Say we're all hanging out in the garage in West Covina, and there's a bunch of my cousins there. We don't call each other primo unless we're having a one-on-one conversation with each other.
Yeah.
If I'm calling across the room, then we'll say, hey, Renee or whatever.
So, do your cousins call you the beef man?
Yes, they do.
That is awesome.
They also call me Master of the Universe, as
That's
you should as well.
cool. That is awesome. So, Tremonde, how did your Thanksgiving go?
It was good. I didn't really do too much. Stayed here. My daughter and my boyfriend did some cooking, and that was it.
And what did you guys make?
I didn't make anything. I just ate it. But he cooked a mixture of greens. We did a smoked turkey, macaroni and cheese, homemade, yams or sweet potatoes, I believe, and some yeast rolls.
Wow.
And he made sweet potato pie.
So, who is the better cook? It sounds like he is,
Why did you assume that?
because he's the one that cooked and he's the one that ate it.
So you just said that your wife cooked Thanksgiving the one time of the year that she liked to cook.
I did.
But yet
I did.
you're the better cook and you cook the rest of the time. So why
Damn
would you just
straight,
make an
don't you ever forget
assumption
that.
about Tremonde not cooking? Maybe this is his one day of the year off that
I
he
didn't say
didn't
that.
cook.
I just said who is the better cook.
But you implied and assumed that Tremonde doesn't cook.
Boom.
I also
Boom.
don't you jump on board, Tremonde.
I got you. I got your back, Tremonde.
So yeah, well, okay, Tremonde, who is the better cook out of you or your partner?
He's a great cook. He's a really great cook. I will give him that. He
Now,
tends to
is this
cook.
the same person that we know, or is this a different person?
No, it's the same person that you know.
Now, why, may I ask this question? Why was, maybe I'm just culturally, because I'm in between ethnicities, I guess. Why did you have sweet potato pie instead of, say, pumpkin pie?
Because
Is that something he's used to eating also? Or did he make an assumption that you would prefer sweet potato pie? Now, I will say this. They taste the same to me.
No, they don't taste the same.
They
I
do
don't
taste
think
the same. It's the texture that's different. They taste
Mm,
very, very similar.
I mean,
That's
depends on
not
how much
exactly,
sugar that you.
not exactly the same, yes, but. So you don't
Jumanji's
like pumpkin
stuck.
pie? He's stuck. Is he? Oh, I just thought he was in awe the whole time. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
oh, at my question. My question was so earth-shattering and groundbreaking that he was like, oh, he said
Was
he
it
just lost.
awesome?
he
It
just lost
inspired awe.
power. He just lost power.
Oh.
Did he?
Well, that's unfortunate. So I'm gonna answer for him then. No, just kidding.
No.
Take the
Honestly.
cultural situation right out of it. Just answer for him.
Well, I mean, he could always try to, hook back up with by phone.
Yeah.
So,
Well, continue to answer for him.
no,
I
I'm
mean,
not gonna
he
answer.
also
Why would I
made
answer? Why would I answer for him?
He also said they had greens.
Yeah, they
which
also said he had
isn't a
greens. Now, I
typical-
personally don't like greens. I don't like greens. Did you have a lot of see, because I consider that like a southern food. Did you have a lot of southern food when you were in the Air Force, Ronz?
No, I didn't, but I tried okra or fried okra for the first time when I was at boot camp, and I loved it. I really do like fried okra.
He really does.
I really do. It's one of those
Really?
things where I'd never tried
It's
it
really
before.
cool.
He does.
It is awesome.
It's awesome. Yep,
It
here
is.
it comes.
There
It
we go.
inspires awe.
Goes. It's awesome. It inspires
Well,
awe.
That's
Okra,
what
fried okra. You heard
fried
it here,
okra.
folks.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those
This
things where
podcast is on the cutting edge. And if you ever wondered about fried okra, by gosh, it's awesome according to Ronz. Thank you.
it is. Well, what's the one food that you tried for the first time when you were in the military that you hadn't tried before, right? And
Right.
being
Oh, that's why I'm asking you, because in the
Yeah.
military, actually, and I don't know if it's like that anymore, there is a lot of southern foods, what we would consider southern foods. And I'm not sure why, because if you take a snapshot, at least where I was, the majority of the people in the military were not from the South.
I agree.
The majority of people that I knew in the military were from the Midwest. So-
Well, it's sort of like when you were over in Germany. What foods did you try that you hadn't tried before?
I'm just talking about specifically what's made on base.
Oh, well.
Like they
yeah.
had greens on the menu.
Okay.
Like a lot of times they had collard greens, which I don't like. We had rabbit quite often. I'm not
Rabbit,
kidding you.
wow.
We actually had very often, because there's usually two main meal selections. You can either have this one or you can have that one, even when you go to your primary place. Pig's feet was on the menu very often.
That's disgusting. Like, no, I don't.
Wow.
And people pick that?
Yeah.
Well, yes, people.
No,
yeah,
yuck, no.
Yeah, people picked it.
That would be my least pick.
Well,
I'd be like, oh, that's leftover. I might skip dinner tonight.
No, we had a guy. One of the guys in my team was from Mississippi, not Mississippi. He was from Mississippi, or was he from Louisiana? I don't remember. He was from one of them. He was from one of them. But yeah, he'd get like the pig's feet, and he'd get like the rabbit and all that other stuff. I had rabbit once because like we had nothing else, and it was like cooked to nice golden brown, and it was battered beautifully and everything. I tried it. It was like, oh, it's pretty good actually. I just couldn't get over the the hinging. I'm like, yeah, I'm not really a fan of that. But
Kind of like frog legs.
greens I tried once. I was like, no, not liking the greens at all. But when you're in basic and they have that stuff, of course, you have no choice. You're going to eat because you're starving anyway. You only get a couple minutes to eat. You got to shove it down.
Amen. So. You're right. Yeah, you don't get it. If you make a choice, right, and they see you taking too long, they're on you. They'll jump on.
Well, they're on you anyway. I mean,
yeah.
A second, you got that giant spoon for a reason. Then you're out of there.
Yeah. So yeah, I've tried frog legs before too, but I tried those at a culinary festival, and I enjoyed those. I
I think
tried.
that's a lot of work for not a lot of meat at all.
It is, but I mean, I'm not the one cooking it, so it was great. I tried crawdads. I like those. You know, I'm always wherever I go, I try to try something new, something regional, if I
He's
can.
back.
Look at that, he's
With the
drinking
alcoholic
already.
beverage. Go Tremonde.
What is it,
that?
Monas? Oh,
Monaco,
Tropic Blush. What is that? A wine cooler?
It's vodka. It's a cocktail.
Ah, okay.
Cocktail in a can.
All right. So why did you, before you lost power, you look like you were in awe for a while there. Why is it that you had sweet potato pie instead of pumpkin pie?
I think culturally, African Americans tend to have sweet potato pie, and not pumpkin pie at all.
Okay. All right. I
So
wasn't sure. So so the other part of my question was, did your significant other make that for you specifically, or does he prefer to eat sweet potato pie?
he enjoyed all desserts.
I can tell by looking at him. Hi-yo!
No, we were talking about that, like just because he made greens as well. He made it for you,
Oh, yeah.
not specifically because it's something he makes, right?
But-
Or
But he tends to eat like
A lot. Hi-yo!
harsh. Aw.
no, but he tends to
He ain't
like eat a
spending a
lot of
lot
like
of money on
different type of
combs, I'll
food.
tell you that.
He's not like a
Picky eater? No.
main casserole type of cooker. So
Doesn't turn down many meals. That's all
No.
right. Neither does Ronz.
I don't. Well, that's the other thing when you're at somebody's house, you don't want to be considered rude. Like I don't think I tried collard greens before, but I would, right? Just because I would like to try them.
Okay.
I would be rude. If it's something that I don't want to eat, I'm not going to eat it.
Tremonde.
I don't care if you put it on my plate or I'm not doing it.
How
Now,
about
have
cottage
you?
cheese?
I was just telling
Tremonde?
them.
Do you like
What's
cottage
this one?
cheese?
I do.
Ooh, that's a good one. See, Tremonde just breaks the stereotype right there.
I do.
What's
Put a little
I-
salt and pepper on it.
What stereotype is
I
that?
Yeah,
was
what stereotype is this?
multiple by
Yeah.
several black people that black people don't like cottage cheese. We had a discussion about this.
What?
What?
And I'm not even kidding. At work the other day, we had a discussion, and we took a poll because when I had cottage cheese and I was in the room, I had taken my lunch out of the fridge, and they're like, "What is that?" I'm like, "It's cottage cheese." And there was 3 black people, the only 3 that were
They
there.
were fucking with you.
No,
Come
they
on.
weren't. No,
You're like, let's
seriously.
fuck with the
Oh,
white
that's
girl.
nasty.
Let's
Maybe
just tell her. Let's just make up some
black
new
people don't
stereotypes.
eat cottage cheese.
Where in the no way
It's true.
are they?
All
I think
right,
it
let's
was
just
true.
ask. Let's just ask the closest thing to a black person that we know right now.
I can't
Tremonde,
answer that.
That's bullshit. Let's hear what Tremonde has to say.
He said yes, he does. That's why I asked him.
No, let's hear what that is. A
Okay.
bullshit stereo. That is. I've never heard that.
I've never heard that before either. I mean, I will admit, like, it's not something that you often see in. I haven't seen a lot in African American houses.
Is it because it's white?
Or is it because they eat it all?
I mean, we eat mayo.
I
I love mayo, and we eat ranch, and we love ranch. We put ranch on everything.
I also call that
ranch on
ketchup.
chicken, ranch on pizza,
all
Where-
good things.
ranch on tacos.
What?
Where did you get all these stereotypes from, though?
It's
Swan?
a bullshit stereotype.
I
They
don't
just said
think it
they
is.
she
They
as
are
she
not
walked in there,
fucking with me. No,
they
no, no.
nudged each other and they're like, let's fuck with her and let's see if she falls for it.
No, I don't think so.
I had this. I had a friend when I was in the second of the 325. Actually, he was my best buddy, and so he'd always fuck with me about being Mexican, which was funny because I'm like, yeah, I guess you can fuck with me about it, but I really wasn't raised that way, unfortunately. So culturally, I'm kind of screwed in that respect. But so I would fuck with him back. I'm like, so is it true? Is it true that you don't eat pussy? And he'd say, because they all say that. All my friends say that. They're like, fuck no, we don't eat pussy. And he's like, of course they do. Everybody do. I'm like, what are you fucking nuts? I'm like, then why do you guys always say that you don't? I'm like, that's their biggest. They always say that. That was one of the big ones.
So as long as we're talking about stereotypes,
No, I want to
Tremonti,
know.
what's the biggest stereotype that you think is out there against anybody that's totally false, but you've heard?
I wanted to do another one before you interrupted me.
That's what he's good at. I'm
The
good
other
at it
one
too.
was, and it's a big stereotype, but my friends they said that it was true. I'm like, it can't be true. That none of them swim. They're like, fuck no, we don't swim. I'm like, okay. But they just said, but they're like, well, we're sure you do. Like, yeah, I'm actually not a great swimmer, but that's fine. You know, wetback.
Yes, yeah, got it.
Got nothing.
Yeah, where's that cricket set when you need it? But so it's sort of like, what's the stereotypes out there that isn't true, right? We hear a lot of stereotypes because you bring it up that you know, cottage cheese, and we're finding out
I think it's
yeah,
I think it's true.
I don't think it's true.
Tremonti just shot that down.
Tremonti was
I'm
raised
not-
by wolves.
I'm not the spokesperson for.
Yeah, that's first of all, he's not the spokesperson for black people.
Tremonti was raised in a cultural family.
What does that mean? Wow, that might be. Let me stop you right there before you make the biggest Ronz out of yourself that you can.
Whoa, back it up.
I'm just gonna go ahead and stop you, Swan, and we're gonna move on to something else. What I was saying was. Go ahead.
Go ahead, B-Man.
What I was saying is the things that annoy me. There were, get this, today, we still had pumpkins out in front of our door from Halloween. Despite me saying to the children, hey, you know, we still have pumpkins out in front
Like
of
3 days ago when they dragged up the Christmas stuff, and we're like, you can't drag out the Christmas stuff when we still have Thanksgiving and Halloween stuff out. Right?
Right.
What happened there? There was this long pause. You were in the middle of a story. I did not interrupt you. And
Yeah, I don't know what
paused.
you're talking about. Go ahead, keep talking, Swan, because I'm trying to share my screen.
Well, you just said we can't drag out your Christmas stuff if we still have freaking pumpkins in the house. That was leading into your story.
Oh, okay.
I was just trying to interrupt.
That's called a segue.
Ooh.
Okay, nice job. So for some reason it won't let me screen share. Now I'm really pissed. Because
He's gonna be pissed, Ronz.
Well,
We're
this
like
time it's
30 minutes in and he's not pissed yet. So
hilarious. Keep talking amongst yourselves so I'll be back.
Side note,
anyway.
I have a t-shirt idea. When the B-Man just said, before you make a Ronz out of yourself, I figured that meant before you make an ass out of yourself. We should get a shirt that says, hey, I didn't say it.
we should get a
sort of
t-shirt.
like, when you guys backed me into a corner when I said I didn't know Tremonti had kids, and you said, Ronz, you know that he can have kids. I'm like, yeah, because he's gay doesn't bother me. It's just I didn't know he had kids, right? No one had ever mentioned it, right? And I didn't think he had kids.
That's actually not what happened, but you can stick to your story.
Yeah, you know what?
So
That
back
is
to
not
your
what
t-shirt
that's
idea,
not how it
Tremonti. How is your t-shirt gonna go?
It should say Ron's hole.
Oh, no. Let's back that statement up. No.
And then on the back can have a butt plug.
No,
there we go. There we go. Do
No.
you see how this is all just coming full circle? This is meant to be.
No, it's not. It's meant
Don't be a Ron's hole.
Oh, Jesus, no.
You have to test out the product so you can stand by your you know.
No. You know, I do think that we ought to have a T-shirt with everybody's signature, with the characters on it, with their signature on there. Just
why would this? Why?
for
Why
a
this
giveaway.
t-shirt? Giveaway to what? The two people who live
His
in?
one fan.
Yeah.
You could just give that. You can just give that. Make that T-shirt yourself with Crayola and give it to the person in your house because that's the one listener.
Write on it with a Sharpie.
You know, you've got
I
more
think
listeners.
it's a pretty sweet idea. I'll be in on it.
You know, you've got more listeners than you think. I actually plug this place like a butt plug. God,
Except I read the stats. I get the stats. You don't get the statistics. I do.
Well,
Hey, Ron,
Yeah.
Ron,
Yes,
I
sir.
support you. I
Thank
support you.
Shamonda. After putting me into a corner and slapping me down, I appreciate you. I really
That's
do.
what he said.
Oh, oh. So, did you back to the stereotypes?
We
What
left
just-
that.
Well, I was
I
going to
just
say
told you. I just said we just moved totally away from that.
you did. I didn't. But okay, fine.
Yeah. So I really wanted to show you guys that, but I can't do it. So I'm gonna have to do it for the next time. It won't let me. It won't let me share my screen with you guys unless I quit Skype. And if I quit Skype, then it stops recording. So obviously I can't do that.
No, you can go to share screen. I
Oh my
mean, I
God.
know I can.
I love it
didn't
when
try
you
that.
don't fucking listen to what I just said.
No, I know that. I just heard you.
No, you totally didn't listen to what I fucking said.
You
What did I
said-
say?
You said if you try that, it's going to quit Skype on you.
Right. So why would I do that? Because
No, I'm
the
just
one
trying to figure out
recording.
why it would do that, because I can do that and it won't quit on me. But then again, you're running an
Ron,
app.
you know what pisses me off about you? You
A
don't
lot of
listen when
things.
people you are very arrogant. You make this assumption that nobody else knows how to do anything on the computer, but yet you seem to be the most illiterate person when it comes to using a computer.
I am.
So
I
if
am.
I already know how to use screen share, if I go to do it and my computer tells me why it won't allow me to do it, why do you make an assumption that I didn't know what I was doing?
No, I was just trying to figure out why it happened. That's all.
Because he started the Skype call, so he can't leave the Skype call to share his screen. If he shares his screen, it leaves the Skype call, which hence all of us get disconnected.
I cannot share the screen because I have not granted permissions to Skype on this computer to share my screen. In order to do that, I have to go to my settings, but I can't go to my settings to do it without closing out of Skype as instructed by my computer. But Ronz knows more than I do,
I do.
even though he's not
Because
looking
he's
at
very
my
tech
computer.
savvy.
I'm not. I'm not.
So why do you always make that assumption? It's like that those people are like, have you turned it on and off again? Why do you make these assumptions that I don't know what I'm doing with my own computer? You don't even know how to use a Mac.
I don't.
So
All I
why
know
are
is
you
you can
always
order one.
instructing me on how to use a Mac? I don't understand that. Why do
Listen,
you always do that? I'm like, dude, you don't even have a Mac.
No, I've actually had a couple of Macs. I just got rid of them.
Do you have
You
a
two
Mac?
should go to marriage counseling.
No.
You know what else gives me anxiety other than the Ronz?
What's that, sir?
Is when I see people exercising on these exercise videos and they're barefoot. That gives me anxiety.
Why does that give you anxiety?
Yeah.
Because they always seem to be doing something like swinging a kettlebell. I was watching this video of these two people exercising. It was like a husband and wife or boyfriend and girlfriend, whatever. And he's got the really heavy kettlebells and they're swinging the kettlebells and they're doing like squats with them. And then they would drop the kettlebells as part of the exercise between their feet and then they'd raise them back up. And they're doing this stuff relatively quickly, but they're both working out barefoot. And I'm just like, that's just an accident waiting to happen. Can you imagine slamming your kettlebell onto your bare foot?
Beef man, do you know what I just discovered about you? You actually love people more than what you say you do. You
Oh,
are
I know
deeply
this.
concerned that these people are going to injure themselves because they are barefoot.
No,
You
he just
have a
cringes
heart.
because he doesn't like himself to be barefoot. So he thinks of it
No,
as
that-
himself.
Tremonde's actually right. That's why I don't watch MMA.
Well, yeah, I
Why I
mean,
don't watch football and why I don't watch all that other stuff because I assume that people are going to get really hurt doing that stuff.
I
Do you
think that comes from being
your
a medical.
experiences,
Yes.
or- yeah.
Because we say, ooh, skiing, that's like a broken leg and a head injury. Ooh.
I don't think that. I don't think that. No.
No?
No, because I was
So
like
question-
that. I was like that in the army too.
Question. So do you think your profession has maybe like what I want to say like interfered or make you not interested in doing certain things because you have seen what could possibly happen from?
I don't think so because I do lots of stuff. I always worry about. I always think that other people are going to get hurt. I do lots of stuff myself that is probably not that wise.
Glad
I
you
mean,
can
at least you admit it.
I mean, there's plenty of things that I do are probably not that smart, but I mean, you call it being a nerd. I mean, nerd-like and everything, but you do know and I don't mind being a nerd. I like being a nerd, but you do know, like Tremonti, that usually every weekend I'm swinging swords at another person.
True.
You know,
Yes.
stuff like that. I do that every weekend I can. So, and those are, yeah, they're not sharp, but they're steel swords, and if you get hit by one, that pretty much would suck a lot. So I do that. That's pretty dangerous, really, especially
Yeah,
with
I
people
mean,
that are
just
not as,
hitting your
especially
finger
if you do it
hurt.
with something, especially if you do it with somebody who's not as skilled as you are, is even more dangerous.
So if you and the Ron were to do that against each other, who would come out on top?
I
he
would.
would.
I would,
Yeah, he
because
would.
Ron doesn't work with swords. He doesn't do that.
Ah,
I took a couple of classes with you. I remember doing that, but then I
You got
dropped
scared
out.
away by the swan.
I did. I did.
She was mean to everybody, so that's why we had a bigger class, but they all left because of Swan.
Yeah.
And she
I
subsequently
exert my
also-
dominance. It's okay.
she
Ron,
was-
you just work with black long hoses.
Thank you, Tremonti, for that kind of segue in there. No.
How's that
Actually,
a segue?
I don't know. I started focusing on other things. I don't
Do
know.
you know
We're
what
segueing
segue
to-
means? Do
Every time
know-
you say Segway, I think of those things that people ride around, those two-wheeled like scooter things. Aren't they called Segways?
They are. They are.
Yeah, that's what I think of.
So, yeah,
that really wasn't a segue, but
It wasn't. It
what
wasn't.
line of thought
Yeah.
were you going to there, Ronz?
No, I was actually focusing on other things. I was taking a lot of classes all at once. I was taking not only the class with you, but I think I was doing Aikido and karate and Kabuto all at the same time. Right. So I was doing 4 classes and I had to focus it and pare it down to 2 of them.
Good plan.
You
You
know?
were already confused, so
Yeah, I was.
too many
Actually,
classes at once is a bad idea.
If anybody gets a chance to take the same class that the Bee Man and the Swan take, it's a pretty interesting class. It really is.
I actually
there-
don't understand why it's not a huge class, because to me it's the most fun thing to do. But I don't know. People.
I only had one problem with it, and it wasn't due to the instructor. It was due to another student there. Right.
Right, that's what I said. The Swan. She scared everyone.
Stop!
No, it wasn't
I'm a
her,
bully.
We had there was another student from
It was
another
story
style
time.
there.
No, come on. I want to hear this story because I haven't heard it, so I'm excited. Let me.
There was another, there was a student from another style, and it was from Aikido, and we were doing something with daggers or something. And so when it was, like a good partner, I took my fall. I took this, I got shot or not shot, but stabbed or whatever have you. And I thought that was fantastic. And when it came down to it, when it was my turn, he started doing some other weird shit. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he did what's called immovable body. Now, if anybody who does Aikido or any type of martial arts, this is where you can drop the center of your weight and make yourself really heavy. And I looked at him and I said, yeah, thanks, B-Man. Thank you. All right. So yeah.
Let me ask you this question, Ronz.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm concerned because clearly that person didn't last long. Why didn't you come grab the beef man and tell him so that he could hurt that person appropriately?
Because that's not what it's about. It's about
Actually, that is what it's about. Because I would not have used jujitsu. I would have used armatari appropriately and broken them to show them that that's what you're supposed to be doing and not some other bullshit.
That's you, not me. I was more.
That is one of the rules that we follow.
Yeah, you don't bring your
This one-
own martial arts class.
I agree.
into
But this
that
was in the
class.
beginning of the classes when we were laying the foundation for the class, right? And that's when it first started up. That's when everybody was starting getting on board. And I didn't want to turn anybody away. I didn't, right? And I knew that a Japanese style and a European style didn't exist at that time. I was trying to be true to the style, we'll say. But he says, yeah, you don't know. And I'm like, you know what? I'll play along. And I was like, you don't. Yeah, you're right. I don't know.
You should have kicked him in the ding dong.
Yeah, that.
Okay.
You should have been like, let me show you my high kick at their knee.
No. That's not how it works. But that
I
was the
wish
only.
he would have been my partner because I'd have dropped him.
Well, I'm a little bit more understanding than most people. right?
That's why
Not-
you
I
get
don't
your
think
ass
so.
kicked.
I don't
No.
think so because it clearly bothered you. So I don't think that you are.
Well, no,
So instead, you
no.
repressed it when you should have just said, "Hey, can you be this guy's partner? And this is why." And I'd been like, I would have been sure, no problem. Picking the swan would have been a mistake because her technique is not great. So
I think your technique is good. All right. But the thing is, it's one of those things where it's just you go along. And of course the lessons move at a rapid pace. So if you're gonna do it for what? We did it for about 5 to 10 minutes or
well,
three.
our lessons didn't move. You should have stayed in. Well, I don't want to kick myself and say that, but the lessons don't move at a rapid pace. We're still doing the same shit that we did 4 years ago.
Okay.
It's
But
just maybe it's faster now.
yeah. Well, anyway, it was what it was. And I kind of moved on from
And
there.
it's a sad story. I'm sorry to hear that happened to you.
No, no, no.
Probably should have utilized your available resources.
I tried not to. It's one of those things where you try not to bring in a style. In fact, I remember watching.
I didn't ask you to bring in a style. You could have said, as I said, just do this.
Well, I remember watching this black belt test, and you know what? And it was an awesome test. I'll say that much.
It was awesome. It inspired awe.
It did. And the
Hey,
person
Tremonde.
that did this,
I hate to interrupt you, Ronz. Tremonde,
No, you don't.
did you know Ronz is a black belt?
And
You know,
it's
I
pretty
listened to-
awesome.
A couple of podcasts, and it's mentioned in every single one.
yeah,
He's very proud of that. He's very proud of that fact.
yeah.
Ron, that's something that you want written on your tombstone.
Ooh.
That
Just martial artist in general.
or that I knew squeegee snot,
Martial
no one else did.
Arts practitioner.
But no. For back to what I was saying though, real quick. Thank you for the accolade there. But watching this black belt test, this person was commended for staying true to the style and not bringing in the other style that person was learning at the time. And I thought that was amazing. Right? That
Amazing.
amazing because I watched this
Was
person.
it amazing? Were you amazed by it?
I was because that person doing the test could have easily thrown in some stuff that no one else had been prepared to see or handle at the time. But that black belt candidate did really good. Right? And I was privileged to watch that. I thought it was really a good test.
To the point that it was amazing.
It was fantastic.
Wow, fantastic! And not only amazing, it was also fantastic.
It was
Superb.
fantastic. Yeah, I got
Ronde,
to watch.
how many lives have you saved? Would you say?
I like to say I saved many.
Well, I would say at least in theory you have. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know what? Let's not downplay what Tremonde does in society. He's a fantastic counselor.
How is that? How did I downplay it?
Oh, you always.
You can't tell the future. I would say in theory that yes, he probably has. At least put a very motivational and positive spin on the lives of many people.
Positive, so positive. He's so positive. Keep going.
But how about any direct results of life saving that you know of?
Yes.
Really? Oh, okay. I want to hear this. Let's go.
One. So this is when I worked at a summer camp, and a student was on what we call like a auto belay system for rock climbing. So he had on his harness, had on his helmet. He get clipped in. You climb up. When you're done, you let go, and then it just repels you down slowly. Well, he was coming down, and he spun around. His helmet got caught on a rock. And so his weight from the harness and the system is pulling him down. His helmet is pulling him up. And I had to be maybe about a good 150 feet away from where the climbing structure was. And I just heard my co-counselor just scream my name. And I saw my boy, his name was Sam. And I ran across the beach and with no harness or anything, just climbed up a good 20 feet. Grabbed him, and then we just slowly walked down. And afterwards, they explained to me what happened, and I'm just like, wait, what? like I didn't realize that my body just responded in that situation. Then from there, we put other practices in place, because for me to climb that the way that I did without a harness or any equipment was not the safest either, you know. So believe that's the one life that I put in my hands and I saved.
Yeah, theoretically, the kid could have hung himself.
Right.
Yeah.
By
Or he
his
could have had
helmet.
or he could have had a cervical, a cervical separation. That's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, very possible. Nice job.
Nice
Yes, I was
job.
amazed
Thanks.
by that story as well, because knowing you, and I can just imagine the fly.
How'd you
out
get
picture
down?
Time.
Like, because
I
I
was
feel
wearing
like
some really nice Adidas footwear, some sort of designer shorts.
I would probably have on some Adidas. I can see myself wearing some shell toes.
Probably running really quickly, going, shit, this isn't gonna come out later. How do I
Yeah.
shoes? Like, all upset about that. Not to mention the fact that you were able to scale up that scale so quickly.
Yeah.
Actually, though, when we did the Tough Mudder, you were very good at obstacles. It was the running you had a problem with.
Well, it was because we were running for like hours.
It was
and
cold.
it was like
It was
30
like the
degrees.
coldest
It
day
was
of the year
freezing
in
rain.
history. Like the coldest day in like 50 years on that, when it should have been slightly warm. Yeah, that was kind of shitty.
yeah, that was a little bit miserable there for a little bit.
Ronz, do you have any other life-saving stories that you would like to share with us? Because the one you told last time was just amazing.
No, none.
Really?
All right.
You have
You,
none?
yeah, no, none.
Wow.
You know what?
Tell us another fueling story.
No, that's quite okay. Now
They're
without,
top secret. He can't tell.
Yeah. No, I can't talk about that one either. I almost let that one go, but I can't talk about that one. No, I can't talk about that. Hold on, let me go through my notes here. Talk amongst yourselves for a second. No, I can't. No, I've honestly, I've saved a kid from a kid that was drowning when I was a kid. But I mean,
It
I
doesn't
just
count when you were holding his head underwater, Ron.
Yeah, like, let it back up. Saved your life. Put it back on. Put it back down. Saved your life.
No, I mean, it was just the kid was thrashing around in the water next to me. It was deep water, and I just grabbed him. I took him to shore. I'm like, "You're gonna be okay?" He's like, "Yeah."
And
And
you're
he
like, yeah,
walked
let go of my crotch.
God, why didn't you do that to Tremonde? I mean, honestly. Yeah.
Thanks for saving me, mister, but next time, maybe just grab me by my arm.
Maybe he thought that was his arm.
God. No.
Good.
Jeez, you guys are such pervs. But no, I mean, that was when I was a kid.
Where's the
and
elbow on this thing?
That was when I was a kid, and it
He's
happened.
got a lot of hair under his arm.
Jeez, yeah. Well, hey, mister, you want my phone number next time?
Now you went dark. Why did you have to go dark? We were having fun, and then you just took it. You took it to a place.
Yeah, no,
that
you
didn't
guys
need to
already
go.
went there. You know
Why
what?
did you
You
take
guys,
it somewhere
you
that
guys
didn't need to
already
go?
went there.
Oh.
Let's not blame me. You already chewed my ass out for not knowing your type of technology versus
Yeah,
mine.
I know you think that you saved me from drowning, mister, but this is just the little fun balls at McDonald's.
Yeah. But it's one of those things.
in
where-
there in the first
That
place.
kid went under. That's so quick.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you don't expect anything
just see a hand.
to do anything or get any type of reward. You just do it
Why
because
do you always
it
go
was
there
the thing
too?
to do.
You're always like a
Sir,
reward thing. Why does it always go in there? You're like, no, I don't expect a reward. What? Clearly
Because-
you must.
No, because people expect you when you save somebody's life that you want something in return for it.
I don't
And
think
that's
so.
the-
Why do you think that?
That's basically what look at society half the time. When you save somebody's life, right? They're always out there going, "Oh, well, let's do this for them." I'm like, no.
Who does that?
Well, have you ever watched the news?
I mean, yeah.
But
I mean,
There you go.
I have ever. I mean, that's a long time. Yes, I have ever watched the news.
But it's one of those things. If chance happens, if I by chance happen to do something for the right thing, during the right moment, it's just one of those things where I did it because it needed to be done. Beyond that, it's over with, right? It really is. And I think in our society of look at me and look what I did and everything in our society, I think we get overhyped on that. We really do, right? Look at the guy. You know, you were in the army.
Oh, okay, let's move on.
All right.
Yeah, he's gonna go off on some tangent about how we're all the same and
Well, no, when you
his
saved
How
that
job.
he
guy's
only
life
lost
from the
one
grenade,
button.
right? Did you
Yeah.
expect anything in
He
return?
wanted a reward for not losing a button on his.
Yeah, but when you
Oh,
saved
okay,
that guy's
gumdrop
life-
buttons.
yeah,
It's time for
yeah,
Now it's
yeah.
time.
I noticed how you're switching it up there
Story.
because you don't want to be recognized for saving a guy's life because you pulled his ass away from a grenade.
Okay.
Yeah, but okay, we'll move on.
But he didn't ask for recognition for that.
Exactly.
I
That's
just
my point.
wanted to tell a story because you told a story and yours was better than mine, so I wanted to tell it.
By all means, your story was better than mine. Definitely.
Let's ask Ronz. He didn't hear the podcast yet. You know, I'm sure he'll listen to it by the time this one comes out. But just very briefly, the Ronz, some guy splashed some fuel on his leg, and Ron stripped him down.
Well, no.
Saved his life.
Stop
that's the story he told, and I said, yeah, that's a pretty cool story.
All right.
It's a pretty cool story about saving somebody's life.
Really, right? If you're not going to get the story right, don't say it seriously, because it's one of those things where I know what happened, and it's sort of like it's not like someone threw a dummy grenade with a firecracker in it, and it said, "Oh, it's going to explode!" Boom, right? No, you saved somebody's life. You did the right thing. Let's move on. So, anyway.
I guess you don't want to compare stories. Okay, well, you'll just have to listen to it, Tremonde, and see which one was a more death-defying feat.
Okay, random question. Ronz, does your wife say that your mustache get in the way if you kiss her or when you kiss her?
No.
No, she's not very tall. I think most of the time his penis gets in the way. She's like 3 feet tall.
Oh, she's short.
She's like 3'4". Leave her alone.
Hold on. No, don't pick on my wife. I mean, she's 5 foot and she's a badass. I don't want her kicking my ass. I don't need her kicking my ass. And plus she's got friends. I'll never see her friends coming at me.
Ron, you said that like you don't have any friends.
Well, I'm beginning to wonder the way you guys paint me into a corner now. I'm going to be a social pariah.
Big word there.
I tend to have a lot of friends.
But after where did the mustache question come from, Tremonde? Did you? Because it looks like you've like facial hair removed yourself there a little bit. You were a little. You've groomed since we've last chatted.
Yeah, he cut his hair too.
Yeah, I did clean up a little bit. And I actually took it down lower than what I wanted. But like I always wonder, like guys who grow mustache like over their lips.
Yeah, that drives me crazy.
Like the Ronz.
Well, no, I usually have this trimmed up. I haven't trimmed it up just because I haven't been out in public for a long time.
It looks like a Dow scrubbing bubble.
Yeah, I usually trim it. I usually trim and shave everything up.
I remember those commercials. They were like sweeping around the top.
Yeah, well, that's what he does, doesn't he? Ronz, do me a favor and just lower your head a little bit. No. Like, lower the elevation of you yourself just a little bit. Right there. No,
there you go. There you go.
Not lean forward, Ron. Just lower.
I'm trying. I'm trying here.
Excited concept.
I see where you're going for it. I see.
Go down the stairs, Ron. Go
down
the
stairs.
stairs.
Just lower your. No, what it?
Not there. Okay. That's scary.
All right. Okay. Never mind. Well, I would like to hear the story of how the swan saved someone's life.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, let's hear it, Swan.
I mean, I've saved lots of people's life, and again, I don't want recognition for it.
You want the lives. She saved a lot of lives, but
did someone walk in with fuel on their pants and then you had to strip them down?
I mean, I had similar experience, like a meth lab exploded and we had to strip down everyone. So yeah, I've had those experiences.
That's not as impressive as someone spilling some fuel on their pant leg.
It's not.
What I don't understand is why Ronz had to strip the guy down more than once.
Holy shit! You won't let that go, will you? Yeah, you're just like a pit bull on a stake.
Maybe that's just what he remembers. That's the highlight of it. He's like, I stripped him down.
Hear the Swan story of how she saved. Yeah, obviously she saved lives, but we're not talking about when she's working outside of work.
I mean, even not working, it happens to me. Okay,
that's what I just said.
Like I'm a magnet for it. So yes. So recently, this is the story. What? Get ready for your story. Get all cozy. Get ready to interrupt me. Okay, I'm telling my story.
Okay.
I innocently went to the grocery store, which before COVID used to be one of my favorite things to do. I love the grocery store. So I'm innocently grocery shopping in the checkout line. So, yep, I'm in the checkout line, getting
You're in
through,
the checkout line.
checking out. Yep, in the checkout line.
So you were checking out in the checkout line.
Innocent.
Yep, standing there innocently. Yep. And a couple rows over, I see this guy who is an employee at the grocery store, kind of
Now,
staggering.
Is he a little bit more handsome than the beef man?
No, Beef Man was with me though, but he was sitting in the chair standing by the bench on the other side of the
You were
checkout
checking out
line.
another guy instead of the beef man. I see how that goes.
Yep.
Anyway.
How'd you know, Ronz? How'd you know?
Oh, you just said so.
I was in the checkout line waiting to pay for my groceries,
get this
and
straight.
2 lanes over.
Let me
Yes,
set
I
the
was in the
scene.
checkout line.
Let's set the scene. Were you, in fact, in the checkout line?
I was. And between making sure the people behind me had their mask on up over their nose and weren't close enough to me, because that bothers me when they edge up in on you and try to put their stuff on the belt in front of you while you're waiting, trying to maintain your space. But anyway, so I see this guy kind of staggering. Yeah, I don't want that stuff on my belt. No. So see this guy kind of staggering. He's clearly a employee because he has the little checkout gun in his hand, and he looked like he was about to kind of like, he looked drunk or like he had cerebral palsy or something, because he was kind of lowly walking, staggering, getting closer, kind of just stood there and stared. And I was like, okay, what's up with him? He takes a couple steps forward again, and he's kind of weaving a little bit. And then he gets to the end of my checkout lane. And I was like, ooh, something's wrong with him. So I'm waiting for my bill to get paid so I can get the fuck out of there. But nope, that's not happening because their cashiers are slow as hell.
Now,
but anyways,
where were you?
I was in the checkout line waiting to pay my bill. And I looked over at the beef man, and I was like, ooh, made eye contact with him. Like, did you see this guy? Just because he's like within arm's reach of us. Yes, I did.
That did not happen. I do not recall making eye contact with you. I made eye contact. All I did was act. I didn't make eye contact with you, but go ahead.
Okay, well, we both, anyway, I looked at you like, are we going to do something? Because the dude, something's wrong with him. Like, he's going to fall over. So I was still thinking he like had cerebral palsy or something, or he was really unsteady.
Hey, tell us how you snapped into action.
Okay, so I reached over. So see, you want to interrupt and ruin the story. Go ahead, ruin it.
No,
Go ahead.
I want to hear the story.
So I wasn't gonna let him fall. It looked like he was gonna fall and break his head. I mean, he was like legitimate Matrix leaning, like he was gonna tip over, and lean towards me. And I put my arm out, and the next thing you know, Beef Man has him in his hands, like caught him, like I don't know, fainted, bridle, carried him, fainting. Took him over to the chair, had him sit down.
I distinctly remember you zipping in and catching him.
Oh, well, then I guess that's how it happened then.
All of a sudden.
Just like I flew 4 feet
straight
across
from the checkout line. Straight from the checkout line. Yep. Caught him. Scooped him up. Like a child. Like he was a babe. And interesting enough, Ronz, she did not grab him by the crotch to do it. So you don't, when you rescue people, you don't have to. Grabbing them by the crotch is not usually what they do. And I did not immediately declothe him either. I didn't have to strip him down. But he was pale, like gray, clammy, sweaty, eyes rolled back in his head, passing out. So, yep, saved him. That was all you, that's it? Well, that's what I did. And then and then you were there. And then another guy and you were there, and you were there. Yeah. And then another guy showed up who had clearly been watching him as well. And another girl who was like, yeah, I saw him staggering for like 5 minutes. Like everybody watched this dude staggering around about to fall down, clearly having a medical issue. And so we started asking questions. He was diabetic with super, super low blood sugar. He had his Apple Watch that said critical low on his watch, that his blood sugar was super, super low. So we started feeding him sugar, pop, and bread. That's how you snapped into action, though. Come on. Why don't you tell it? Since clearly you have a better. How did you snap into action? What did you do then? Tell us all the life-saving maneuvers that you took. Go.
I don't have any. I mean,
Come on, hey, Ron. What
got
are your
him.
questions?
Well, honestly, it sounds like her medical training kicked into gear, and I'm not gonna. I shouldn't tease you, and I won't tease you for what you did because a lot of people.
Boring. Ask some questions, Ron. Come on, ask her about what really happened. Come on.
I was kind of like waiting for the part to where like you say like you stood in the buggy, the bead man pushed you, and the buggy just slid all the way from one side of the store to the other. You jumped out and barrel rolled and.
Have you ever seen you've seen those superhero movies where like they do the Superman punch and they fly through the air, but then they do the 3-point landing?
Yes.
They like with the knee down, and then they look up.
Like how when Hulk lands, he just like smashes. Yeah, that's what happened. Totally.
But then she looked up, and then she grabbed him.
The ground shook. Yep.
Now,
and then it seemed like it took forever. Like somebody call 911. Do you think that happened? No, they all stood around looking like idiots.
Did they have the cameras out?
No, but his manager was like, "Oh, I'm gonna videotape this." No, that's a dumb idea, you freaking idiot. Maybe y'all should do something and help the kid. But no, and everybody's, where's his insulin? Yeah, that's exactly what he needs when his blood sugar is fucking 2. No, he doesn't need no insulin.
I don't know anything about being a diabetic.
His blood sugar was like non-existent.
I thought maybe you would ask some questions, but you didn't.
So, my question is, did you mysteriously disappear after? As quick as you reacted, did you mysteriously quickly disappear?
I mean, I did change in the phone booth so that they wouldn't know it was me. Yes, I did.
And were you wearing your sungas?
No, it was too cold for that. I was not rocking the sungas. I should have though. Maybe that could be my new costume. Like just whip my clothes off and have my sungas underneath.
Sweet.
Yeah. I knew that would get the beat man a smile when you said whip my clothes off, because I would whip my clothes off.
I mean, that is part of, saving lives. You have to strip them down first, right, Ronz?
Of course you do.
Strip them down, grab by the crotch, let them get dressed again, and then mysteriously strip them down again for any particular
It must have been like a thing. He wanted to shower them off. It's like a thing. You have to get into the shower together.
Make sure you're clean before you take you to the emergency room.
No. Now, so after
that was
all
impressive. I'm so glad that the Swan was there to step in that quickly. So I'm just thankful that she made eye contact with her sidekick really quick.
I did.
Did not happen.
It did happen. I looked at you first because I was like, "Oh, what's going on here?"
Let me ask you this question. You looked at me first. Was that before or after you saw a streak of black go past you really fast to catch the kid?
It was before.
While you stood there with mayonnaise in your hands.
It was before, and I didn't have mayonnaise in my hands. But okay.
An expression.
I don't think I followed that one.
Let me ask you this question, Tremonde. What do you think really happened?
What I think really happened. So I think that the Swan was in the checkout lane.
Yes, I'm gonna.
Good job, Tremonde.
We know is true. This much we are very sure is what happened. Is the Swan was in the checkout lane.
That's it.
Although the Ron still seems very confused about that. Ronz, do you believe that she was in the checkout lane?
I'm not sure. I mean, was it a self-checkout or was it a checkout lane?
It was a real checkout, and the cashier was totally annoyed that she had to work that day.
Are there fake checkout lanes versus real checkout lanes?
No, it manned with a real person checkout line, not a self-checkout line. I don't really like the self-checkout line. I'm not a big fan of them.
So why was the person annoyed that they had to work?
I don't know.
This is the questions that you have about the Swan saving someone. This is your question.
He's giving bad customer service, that's for sure.
Whatever question I have, you're going to twist it to.
It seems like
at least
stupid
he grab his crotch.
So Swan, after you have saved someone, do you replay that incident like over and over of ways you could have done things different or better, or once it's done, you just let it go and move on to the next?
Yeah, no, not really. Like, I think we did say, what should have we done differently? But other than that, like the fact that it was a grocery store that has a pharmacy and they had glucose, we could have just got it said somebody go to the pharmacy and get this instead of grabbing pop and bread and stuff off the shelf. But I mean, that worked too.
Why would we have had to think of that? We were surrounded by employees that should have pulled their heads out of their asses and said, "Oh, hey, you know what? Maybe we could call the pharmacy and ask for this."
Yeah. I mean, we had to call 911. I mean, I don't think that should have happened when
Well, how many
there
people
was
know
an
how to
emergency.
deal?
Okay,
How many people know
any
how to train
emergency,
or
what
deal
do you
with
do?
that?
We're like, oh, let
That
me
has to do
call
with what?
Bueller
So you
Ronz, and he
we
can bring
teach
his
little
black
children.
belt and caution tape.
Yeah, we
I
teach
mean,
little
even
children to call
something.
911. Why should we have to? Why would you have to have a background in medicine to know that you should call 911 when somebody's clearly crashing in front of you?
Okay, I'm
But
not
And
we're the
sure.
only ones. Like everybody just stood there and stared at us. I
People
mean,
call
for real.
911 if they get the wrong order in a McDonald's.
Well, why shouldn't you?
And if anything, his manager should have been able to offer up that information a lot sooner than when it was given.
Yeah,
Because
wasn't he
if
wearing a
nobody else,
bracelet or
he should
something?
know.
No,
He wasn't.
Well, they said that they saw his watch.
his
And they
Apple
saw
Watch, he had a electronic, like a glucose
Yeah,
monitoring
yeah, but
device on his watch.
don't some people usually wear a like a bracelet? One of those.
Again,
They
yes, some
should,
people do,
but
but
he
he
did
did
not have one.
I checked.
So you were actually frisking him down. Why were you touching him like so? That doesn't make
That's-
sense.
That would be part of an assessment.
Well,
Checking if he has a
let me
pulse.
let me tell you what it's like to respond to an actual life-threatening situation.
By all means.
You actually do a quick assessment of the situation, the surroundings, your available resources, all those things. And then you look to somebody to take charge of things. Unfortunately, I always do that. I always look for somebody else to take charge. But you know what happens?
It becomes us, usually you.
Because I don't want to. I'm like, why does this always happen?
Yep, it happens to me too. I'm like, oh, and I mean, I did take is anyone else going to see this? Nope, I guess it's me, because that happens a lot. I mean, I'm in that situation more than I want to be. And you try to be like, oh, I'm a nurse. Do I want to be a nurse right now? Nope. But, oh, yep, nobody else is going to do it. So I guess it's me.
Yeah.
And what I always find interesting too is that it's never me that says, oh, hey, I'm this. Around that always want to let me know that. I'm
Like,
okay,
are you a
thank
doctor? Like, oh, they're medical. Yeah. Like, so people just automatically assume it. Because, like, the person who was the firefighter was like, oh, these two are medical. Like, no, we never said anything that we were until they said that.
Do you think people are afraid to step forward and do the right thing?
Not afraid. They just,
I don't
you
think
don't
afraid.
want, not afraid. You just don't want to. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't have chose to do that. I'm not going to not do it, but it's not I don't go to the store and be like, oh, I can't wait for someone to have this so I can save the day. No, I
Oh,
don't.
yeah, it's
I
kinda
just
like
want to
that.
go grocery shopping.
I don't know. I mean, some people were smiling. Remember that time weren't you behind me that time that person flipped their car right in front of us, and was it
Yes.
Summer was in the car, and I had to
Yep.
run there, and that person was like ejected from the vehicle,
Yep.
and it was like me and two other people ran up there, and we just happened to get lucky enough that the one was like a medic from the Air National Guard, and I was there, and then another person was like a sheriff's deputy or some shit, and it was us
Yeah.
three.
And yep. So, I mean, I had that happen right at the corner of G Avenue when
but
a
you guys
motorcycle
are
crashed, and it was me and another nurse that stood there until the ambulance got there and
but you
held
guys are
it.
trained for those type of responses in your field, right? I'm talking about the average person. If something goes wrong or something goes down, are people afraid to step up and help out other people? I mean, I honestly wouldn't have known what to do in this situation. I honestly,
Sure you
but I
would.
was
It's called 911. You
no,
would have
no,
known what to do.
to
You would
assess
have
his
asked
medical
a question.
situation.
You would have asked. No, see that's
No,
not true.
that's where you stop. You say you would pull over though. If you saw a car crash right in front of you, you would stop and then you would go up to the window and say, "Are you okay?" You call 911, right?
I've been in situations where I couldn't stop and I watched a car crash. I really have, right? I'm in traffic. I'm in heavy traffic. I hear this metal crunching sound. I can't stop. I can't stop at all. I'm
Well,
like,
there's a difference
okay,
between a fender bender and somebody flipping their car.
I
Like
agree with
the
that.
one that I'm talking about. We were at the Y. We were driving home, and like three cars in front of me. There's this corner that you go around that's like by like this old cemetery, and this guy literally went off the road, flipped his car over, and he got like ejected from the vehicle. And I was like five cars back, so I pulled off and ran up there, and two other people ran up there with me. So
Wow.
that's not a fender bender. Yeah, a fender bender. Who gives a? I'm not gonna stop for a fender bender either. If somebody like hits somebody, I'm like, that's not. The human body's gonna adapt pretty well to that. Not where you are going at a high rate of speed and you flip your car and get thrown from the vehicle. That's different.
Well, RJ and Kerry were just in. They saw something like that. Someone ran a red light and got T-boned. They pulled over and they made sure everybody was okay, but they had no medical training. They waited to make sure the cops were on the scene
You don't
and
need medical
everything.
So then
training.
that's
You
what
just
they
know
did.
don't
They
remove
did
from
exactly
the car
what- yeah.
and call 911.
Okay.
So they
But
did
are
what
a lot
their
of people afraid to
capacity
step
did.
up and do the right thing?
Like the Swan said, I don't think people are afraid. I think people have realized like that we now live in a different time,
Mhm.
and people don't feel
As
Somebody else will
as
do it.
comfortable in some aspects. Um, but then I also think that like people don't care as much either.
Yeah, I think that's the point right there. People don't care to help out their fellow person, right?
Yeah, because the other day I was driving down the road and and I was like in the neighborhood and a car was parked on the side of the house on the main street and their trunk was open, and so I just whipped around the corner, put on a mask, went knocked on the door, and just told them, hey, your trunk is open, on the side street. Um, and I'm thinking like with the neighborhood, like people probably would say like, why did you do that in that neighborhood? You never know what could have happened, But I'm like, I would hate it for something to be in that trunk that this family may have needed, and now they're without it, all because I didn't take the time to just say, hey, your trunk is open,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
like same thing happened here in our neighborhood, right? Sort of our neighborhood. We wake up. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning, and
Something
I
like
hear
that,
this
yep.
car alarm going off, and it went off. I'm not kidding you, for at least a half an hour to an hour. Just kept going off, and I'm like, why is this car alarm? Why is nobody doing anything about this car alarm? So I couldn't figure out where it was. So I called the police. Because I'm like, if somebody's car alarm is going off and it's parked at somebody's house, maybe there's a bunch of dead people in that house because nobody's coming out to shut off the car alarm, right? Because my mind just went automatically to something
Mhm.
bad happened. So I call the police, and the police say, "Hey, do you think you can go locate this car alarm? We're gonna send a unit." But they can't. It was like something like they can't get to you right away. So I'm like, so they said they weren't. Their plan was send me. I'm like, okay, sure. So I get dressed, hop in the car with a Swan. We go find the car alarm. And sure as shit, it's parked in somebody's house. And this house was not in a remote part of our neighborhood. It's surrounded by other houses.
Like their neighbors had to be hearing it.
Yeah. Their neighbors right next to them, right behind them, right across the street from them. It was surrounded on 4 sides. So car alarm's going off. So I'm like, okay. So I get out of the car, go up to the house, because I'm like, there's no way that there's anybody in there that's alive, because they'd have to know, because it was way down the road from us. So in other words, we were not by this house. So I go up there, I'm ringing on the doorbell, I'm pounding on the door, thinking, I'm like, oh, there's probably I'm thinking, obviously in my head, literally, I'm thinking in my house, in my head, they're like, everybody inside there's dead. That's what I was thinking. So somebody answers the door, and I'm like, your car alarm has been going off for like an hour. So I'm just checking to make sure that you're okay. And they like gave me a shitty look and shut their car alarm off. Didn't say thank you or anything. So
Wow.
I'm like, okay,
Wow.
all right. So then I get back in my car, sit there for a second to make sure they're okay, because I'm like, well, maybe something's going on. Maybe they're under duress or something like that. And so I'm like, okay, well, everything seems fine. So we drive back home. The cops call us back. And I'm like, well, they're fine. The car alarm shut off. And I don't even remember if they came back driving through. Didn't they come back? Did the cops come
think
back
so,
and
yeah.
talk to us?
I think so.
If I remember, it was a long time ago. Anyway, so I'm like, all right, whatever. Don't think anything about it. Go back to bed. No big deal. So now then Swan can tell the rest of that story. And
So
this is
our
why,
subdivision.
This is why this goes back to what you said, Ronz, why people don't, or maybe why people don't care about what happens to people.
So our
Okay.
neighborhood has a Facebook page that is like a gossip column pretty much. So basically the next morning, that person posted Somebody rang our doorbell at 3:00 in the morning, pounding on our door to ask us if our car alarm was going off. Some 30-something-year-old suspicious-looking man in a hoodie banging on our door. We
You
thought we
forgot
were
the
going to
most
be
important
robbed.
part. You forgot the most. They said well built.
Oh, yeah, well built. 30-something-year-old man
Hispanic.
wearing a hoodie.
They
Hispanic
made a
man.
reference to you
Yeah,
being
Hispanic wearing a hoodie, pounding on our door. We thought we were going to be robbed. Like, so us going to help them, they took it and turned it around that they were going to be robbed.
Did you all respond?
Of course I did. I said, "Oh, well, you just made my 40-something-year-old well-built Hispanic man's day that you called him 30-something-year-old.
And well
And
built.
next time y'all can go fuck yourselves and we'll let you die."
Did they have better stuff in their house where you got to look inside?
They cracked the door, Ronz. They didn't
Okay.
even come out. They didn't say thank you, you unappreciative bastards, or something like that. I mean, I could probably pull it up and read it word for word eventually for you guys on the next podcast. But basically, I told them to go fuck themselves. So next time y'all have a problem, don't call us. Silence your shit and die.
But can I tell you what I would not do?
What wouldn't you do?
I will not walk into my backyard where there's a power line down.
Fuck no.
You would call the
Oh,
Ronz,
it's so
right?
fun.
You would call the
Tommy,
Ronz.
I had
He
faith
could
in
wear
you.
his reflective vest.
Would you do it with
and
a?
black belt.
But would you do it if you had a black belt? Especially if
might.
you had one on at the time.
You know, Tremonti, I had such faith in you until you came at me.
Would you do it for a Scooby snack?
Right.
Would you do it over there?
Would you do
You
it
know,
with a cat
that's yeah.
here or there?
With
The
a
thing
mouse?
is,
The
you
house.
know, and back to what Tremonti was trying to allude to, I guess, is that would you?
I was well prepared to.
Yeah, I was well
karate
prepared
chop
to,
that down power line.
Karate chop, and I was just gonna go, hey, you know, I could take down that power line, but you know, it's just too dangerous. But you know, I'm gonna let the authorities handle it. However,
I'll ask him if they need help.
yeah, I
Excuse me,
will ask them
officer.
if you
You need
know.
to rope off this area there, officer?
Yeah,
I can secure the scene.
And the,
I could
Ron,
still
I'm
sure
sure you've
that
heard of me.
scene. I
Black
could.
belt.
Okay, but
Do you
would
need to
that
volunteer?
would that stop you from doing that all over again in the future, though, if it
In
happened
this
again?
subdivision, fuck yeah, y'all can die.
Subdivision, yeah, let them all fucking die. Yep.
I've been in your subdivision. That is a very affluent subdivision.
They like to think so. I don't think so.
I bet they're all in credit card debt up to their asses.
Yes.
So
So I mean, it's no Flint, Michigan, or where Tremonti lives, but I mean,
There's no. I would like to know how many minorities live in this neighborhood. I think there's 2.
I know a couple. I know of a couple. I could point them out to you.
Well, I know 2.
yeah, I
There
was
you
gonna
go.
say right there
I know
is
2.
one.
There's a black
So-
family.
So you don't have to point them out to me there, Swan. I know of 2.
I know there's at least 3 African American families. One of them's blended, so does that count?
That's the one that I know.
Oh, well, I know 2
With the
more
little-
like that then
with the
2.
2 dogs.
No, I know 2 more than that then.
Ah, I see.
And
Well, our
then there's a
family's also-
Hispanic one. Yes. Then there's another Hispanic one.
There is?
Yes, there is.
How come I don't know
And
them?
then there's
Shouldn't
the
I
one.
know them? Shouldn't I
You
know
should.
all
You
of them?
probably should. Yeah. And then there's whatever. I don't. He's like, where are they from? Puerto Rican or wherever they're from. You know,
That's
the
also
one who's.
Hispanic.
Yes, but you know who I'm talking about? The waiter guy.
Oh, he lives in the next neighborhood over.
But it still counts as our neighborhood. But yes. So. Yeah, I mean, there's probably a
There's
grand
more.
out of about what, a couple hundred houses. There's 6. Just
There
saying.
was more though because Tremonti was in the next neighborhood over, but he left.
Yeah. But I was staying in someone else's house. Who
Squatting.
wasn't a minority. But she had a gorgeous house, though.
It was a nice house. I like that house.
Very
Right.
gorgeous house.
But in answer to your question, no, Ronz, I probably would not help this neighborhood out again. No.
Yeah, you know, that's a shame. That really is.
The only good thing that came out of that was being described as, a decade
30
younger
something
and
and well built.
well built.
They said
Yeah.
well hung.
Yeah,
That
they
doesn't
grabbed it
usually
by
go
the
with
crotch.
that doesn't usually go with being Hispanic, but that's fine. That would have been nice also.
So for a future topic I want to get on to, and I know we're going to wrap this up in a bit, but I want to talk about stupidity in commercials because lately there's a big push for medication, and why is the medication that out there to help you on these TV commercials so deadly with the side effects?
We already did that.
All medications have those side effects, Ron.
Not,
If you don't
not
get
as,
diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, constipation, I mean, how can you get both diarrhea, nausea, vomiting, and constipation? I mean, you can have them all. Liver failure,
I'm just getting sick and tired of
sweat.
it. I really am again.
Let
abnormal
me ask
rashes.
you this question. Let me ask you this question, Ronz. If that is what you want to talk about, are you actually going to be prepared to talk about it?
I will take notes. I am.
Well, let's put it this way. We just released a podcast. This one will be released in a week. That gives you
2 weeks.
That gives you almost 2 weeks to research your topic that you want to talk about.
Yeah. And, I'm going to be sarcastic as hell. I really am because, Tremonde's got his hands up and it's over to Tremonde. What's your question, Tremonde?
Doesn't have one. He's like, wrap it up, bitch.
What the B-man said.
Oh, okay.
Wrap it up, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So he has a
no,
topic.
I'll take notes.
Let's see if he actually sticks with it.
Yeah, and I'm going to be sarcastic as hell.
I would like to thank everyone for doing the podcast this evening.
Yeah.
For all the good things that you folks do out there. And I would also like to thank our listeners for listening and spending time with us. And I'm going to wrap it up and say adios, mooch fuckos, before the Ron starts talking and going off on some separate tangent.
Bye, everyone. From the Swans.
You don't have to say that. You can,
I want
they
to.
know
I
it's
said
you.
it. I said it
They
just
know it's
because
you.
to get a rise out of you. I was trying to make you angry.
You guys are making Tremonde. Look, he's got his
Ooh.
hands up. He's ready. You guys keep holding him off.
No. Deuces.
And from the Ronz.
No, motherfucker. Just, God, just say.
Say, hey.
I was going to say, B-Man, you got the last word.
No, motherfucker. I already said it. What is
Jesus.
fucking wrong with you? Oh.